You're listening to the Electrocasts podcast. This is podcast number 16. In this installment of Electrocasts, we met up with electronic artist Louis Baker, who records under the artist's name L.D.C.N. Louis enjoyed an overwhelmingly positive response to his album Until the End in summer 2015. He's currently in the process of recording his follow-up L.D.C.N. album, Growing from the Concrete, which is expected in 2016. Hey, welcome to another installment of Electrocasts. This is Jeff, and I'm here with Case, as always, and we are very pleased to have this guy on our show this time round. We have Louis Baker. You guys know Louis as L.D.C.N., and we've been trying to find a spot for Louis on the show for quite a while, but we've just had so many people on the calendar. But now he is here with us. Hello, Louis. How are you?
Hi, guys. Yeah, I'm good. I'm good, thank you.
Good.
Great to meet you, Lou.
Yeah, good to meet you guys too, man. Actually, I'm kind of tired. I'll add that. I'm kind of it's been a long week.
All right. Well, maybe that's a good thing. So you won't speak so fast then, right?
Yeah, that's right.
I'm kind of feeling mellow. You know. Need a cup of tea though. I'm very English. I think I need a cup of tea after this. But I'm wearing white at the moment, so.
Oh, and cake. we should hook Louis up with Heather, and they could have tea and cake
and scones.
I don't think they go together. I really don't.
No.
I've tried to eat food with tea before, and I just the tea like just becomes a side thing for me. It's just like I need to enjoy the tea, first. Like I don't know.
I gotcha. It has to be undiluted.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So, Louis, we have explored your music in preparation for Electrocast, but also, as you've released it, we've kind of kept tabs on you, both Case and I individually, obviously. So we've heard quite a bit of your music over the past 2 years or so. Could you tell us where your artist name, L.D.C.N., comes from?
It's funny because I had a funny feeling you'd ask this, and I can't give away the whole thing yet. It's too early. But I can tell you that it's basically a name for something. It's like something really, really planned. Like I've been thinking about it for absolutely years, and it's just like once I release like this project with the name of it in, then like that's just all go from there. That's like I have to reach a certain step first, if that makes sense. So like
it all makes sense then.
Yeah, exactly. And I think it's kind of cool because when I do that and I kind of credit myself on it as the name as well, because it's not just going to be under L.D.C.N. It's going to be like something like project name for whatever. As I say, I'm not giving away just yet, but it'd just be cool for people to kind of like look into that and then go, hey, he's produced all his other music under the name sort of thing. So it's kind of I don't know. I like looking into things. I like reading deep into things. It's just one of those kind of yeah, as I say, it's just one of those things, I guess. It's hard to explain. BBC asked me, I couldn't give it away to them. My nan wasn't very happy. She was like, you should have told them. You should have told them what I mean. Like they were trying to guess it, and they got very close as well. And I was like sweating almost. I was like, I really hope they don't get it. Luckily they didn't. Luckily, but she wasn't happy with that.
Is she still in the dark about it, your nan?
Yeah, I don't think I've told her. I've only ever told like 3 people, if that, like the actual meaning for it and what it's for, and they've all liked it. So I don't know, but they've been very close friends. Like it's
so you're going to keep a lot of people who are fans of your music on the edge of their seat for a while to come.
Yeah, that's the hope, man. That's definitely the hope.
Including us. Including us. We will not even have the privilege of knowing.
Maybe
Louis,
behind the scenes. Maybe.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Where can people find your music? Where is it published?
I publish it on like SoundCloud, Bandcamp. I've put a few up on YouTube, but mainly just the whole albums, separate songs for me. I kind of get into this album cycle, and it's like, I get excited to put the stuff out and everything, and then I just forget about it. Unfortunately, YouTube is like one of those things for me when it comes to music. I think it's because I don't have any videos really, but you can find it on YouTube. SoundCloud is just L.D.C.N. You just find it on there, and Bandcamp I think is remember correctly, ldcn.bandcamp.com, I believe. So I'm terrible with naming links like straight off. So,
Well,
but if you just Google, like I come up pretty quickly. I think I'm under like some like REF thing, which is very bizarre.
you were correct. It is ldcn.bandcamp.com. It is.
Oh, excellent.
It is
Okay, I got that right.
soundcloud.com/L-D-C-N. I have all the links, and I promise you, I will put them on our website.
I appreciate,
where people
appreciate that.
Where people
I'm sorry I didn't have them in front of me to read them out.
That's okay. That's okay.
Preparation.
I don't think Jeff or I could tell you the URLs of our website, so don't worry about it.
No, because they all have different formats,
Yes.
so we can't keep it straight. But you know, Louis, in listening to your work on Bandcamp, especially not only your more recent LP Until the End, but your earlier material from 2013, 2014, what struck me is that you really cover a lot of bases. There's a lot of variety in your approaches. You seem to have a great command over rhythm and texture and melody, repetition, nuance, etc. And not only does that make your music engaging, it makes it very listenable.
Cheers.
So where does this come from? What kind of musical influences would you say have contributed to what your voice is as a musician?
You know, it's such a difficult question for me because I think where I live, or you know, not where I live currently, but where I live in the countryside, it's like it's one of those things where everything is like very detailed, and I used to spend a lot of time, you know, like just wandering about, you know, going for walks and stuff. And I suppose when it comes to the music, it's like every track is like a garden, and you need to put like different elements in it for what kind of season you're going for, if that makes sense. The season is like the mood, I guess. So for me, yeah, it's just different palettes to try and experiment as much as possible. But like Aphex Twin and Boards of Canada, I get compared to Boards of Canada quite a bit, like more often than I think I kind of expected to when I first started out. I didn't really have any goals when I made Strange Minds. It was like this really random project that I just kind of tasked myself with when learning music production. But I guess because my personality is kind of weird, I guess. So when it comes to the music, it's like I like what I like at the end of the day. So it's like I add in as many varieties as possible, just to keep things interesting, I think, because I found myself even with tracks that have like a singer on, if I don't like the singer, but I really like the instrumental because it's so layered and like lush, I'll always like try and find the instrumental on YouTube or something, like just because I like exploring them, and it gives you something to listen to when you come back to it for like the 10th time or something crazy. It's like you always find new things. I've surprised myself as well. Like I bought a better pair of headphones recently, and it's just I'm listening to a lot of songs that I thought like my favorites, and it's just like I'm finding new details in them. It's mad.
Yeah, I love when that happens.
So I always go for that. That's my approach essentially. I am trying to branch out a bit more, just because like the course I'm doing at uni is music production, so I'm gonna be working with a lot of different people, and they may find that a bit annoying that like I'm always trying to add so much. They may just be like, okay, it's just done, just stop trying to add everything in. And plus, I kind of want to do a bit more like hip hop production and stuff, and that can be kind of layered as well. But most of it has like a very strong rhythm, which I don't really have. Like I've probably had a couple tracks where I do, but other than that, yeah, like the first EP was like just completely floating, like just like I have no idea what I was doing on that. I think I recorded all of it when I had a headache, except for like one song. That was my relief. That's where that came from. So I think L.D.C.N. probably started from, I have a headache.
Yeah, right.
So that's my starting story. There's nothing crazy there. It's just like, hey, I want to make some music. I don't feel too good.
But Louis, you do have rhythm in your music, even though you do not necessarily always use rhythm instruments, because you use a sort of a cinematic repetition of themes in your music. For example, in I think it is Highway Lights. It is fundamentally a repetitive pad theme that you just keep developing throughout the whole song, and it creates its own sense of rhythm, almost like crashing waves on the shore.
That track came together so nicely. I actually got stuck when making that. I had this period of time in January and December. I think I was like tweeting out really depressed stuff because I was just like, I really want to work on my album, but I just had no... I made like demos and that's all I could do. And I kept sitting with them for absolutely ages and I just couldn't add anything to them. And I sent Highway Lights off to Technique,
yes.
I think you say his name. He was on the remixed EP.
Yeah, I saw that name.
Yeah, he did some additional production. He did that like rising like vocal pad you kind of hear, and I loved that. He added a few things in there, but it's I cut out a few things as well. So it's like it was like a true collaboration. Because I was like, look, I'm stuck. Can you help me here? He listened to the track. He really liked it.
Right.
Yeah, it was really great how that came out, and that was my favorite track when working on it. It was one of the first ones I made for the album. I was like, I need this in here, like this is what I need sound wise, and yeah, that's why it's in the middle as well. It's kind of interesting how that worked out.
Right.
I didn't plan for that, by the way. I never go into projects like that, but it's kind of just amusing how it's in the middle of the track listing, and that was like the center
as well.
point.
Yeah, it makes a good reflection point between what comes before and after.
Yeah, that's the point in the album really, like, because Phone Call kind of changes the mood of it a little bit, and then you have I think it's Midnight With You, then it goes to Highway Lights. I think that's correct. So it's like this middle section of kind of like 3 tracks where it's like I had the same thought for each one as I was making it. I think it's just cool how I put that track list together. I don't like to blow my own horn or anything, but I really like the track listing for that. It just flows so nicely. So
there's a lot of thought that goes behind track listing and running order.
It took me a week to put that together, like the track listing. I was just sat there for
but you know what, Louis?
Week.
You're rather you're younger than both Case and I am.
Much younger.
And when we were growing
20.
up, you had two sets of track lists to contend with. You had side A and side B, right? And they had to have their own internal order as well as an order throughout, from start to finish on an LP. Yeah.
Right.
I listen to a lot of albums like that, though, so I kind of see, because my dad, I ruined a lot of his cassette tapes when I was younger, though. I'd still feel bad about that. Yeah. I couldn't help it, though. I think I pulled all the tape out and like stuck them in the washing machine. Yeah, I don't know. That's what he told me. I was too young to remember. I feel awful about it, but I definitely like that, though. That's very interesting. But a lot of albums as well, I suppose at the time, they kind of just made them and then they threw them together, if it makes sense. So it's like track 1 was the first track to be made, and last track, whatever, So I don't know, but I'm one of those people who always tries to put thought into the track listing. So even if it's just a random compilation, I think the remixed EP, I even put an order together, even though that was just someone else's work. They put that together. I didn't.
So,
but
I still ordered it.
You mentioned Aphex Twin, and probably I think the most popular of Aphex Twin's releases is the Selected Ambient Works Volume 2, especially.
I don't like everything he does.
I'm sorry?
I don't like everything he's done, just to put that out there, because people say that, and he's
there are a couple EPs that I have a hard time listening to of his, but it's something similar there with the running order as well. When you have selected ambient tracks, okay, you think of maybe a potpourri of different things, but it does have an internal sense to it, and I did find that on Until the End, and I enjoyed that about it. And Highway Lights does work effectively, as we said there, too.
Cheers.
And another track we want to listen to today from Until the End is Missing. And Missing also has this cinematic feel to it. Earlier you talked about doing a lot of walks, and those tracks like Missing and Highway Lights and several of the other tracks that we will be listening to have some sort of a yearning, dreaming, or dreamlike kind of feel to it. Yeah. How does it relate to your walks? Do you bring those experiences into your compositions? How do you go about that?
That's kind of interesting. I don't go on as many walks now as I do. I mean, I live in a city, which is kind of depressing me at the moment because I'm so used to just, nothing. You know what I mean? So it's like so many people. I don't know. I always, as I say, I always make a narrative for every project. I think I've said it before somewhere. I can't really remember, but it basically just helps me to make it, basically. So as I say, I got stuck in the winter time, and then I was like, okay, I know the sound I want for the album, but it's like I need order. I need some structure so I can kind of work around it and just build a better album than the first one, because I don't know, I feel like I rushed away from here like too much. It was just like I released a couple of EPs, and I was looking around at everyone else at the time, and it was just all they did was release EPs. And I don't know, I kind of wanted to stand out a little bit more. So it was just album time for some reason. I wanted to kind of do a big project.
Well, you mentioned on Bandcamp that Away From Here, your first album from last year, is the first part of a trilogy. And I'm thinking that Until the End is the second part?
You can kind of see it as that, but I started making it like that, but it sounded awful. I had like Belly Full of Stars play some piano. She sent me, I think she's posted it on her SoundCloud, so like I would have just taken it. I asked her permission and everything. It was just a nice starting point. It sounded great because it was her, and like I was trying to add my own bit on it, but it just sounded awful. And I sampled the last track, Leaving, from that album, and I was boxing myself. I felt like I'd boxed myself in. I was like, I need to make something that kind of sounds like this, you know. I had this whole journey planned out, and because it's not really that relevant to the series anymore, it was basically Into the Night Sky was the second part, because the way that Leaving ends, it's kind of like, I don't know, I put these weird voices in there. It kind of sounded like something like about a journey. I just artist who I was going to work with do some cool artwork. They just did a rough sketch, and it was basically Away From Here was like, the artwork is like you're in the sky. So then into the night sky or whatever, it was like moving towards space. And then I was going to do another album called Back Home, where it was like basically the descent back home. It was so weird, but at the time I was like, oh yeah, I got a cool idea. Like I can't wait for this. Like I'm going to be like, it's going to be so amazing. But I just lost it completely during that winter period. I had some pretty bad news as well around the time, so I kind of like adjusted my mindset a little bit. I kind of grew up a bit more as well during that. It was a very strange time, and that's why I called the album Until the End, because it was just like I realized what I wanted to do and where I wanted to go. So it was just like I'm gonna keep doing this until the end. Like I don't think music really has a retiring point.
No,
so
it doesn't.
Regardless of of what you do,
Yep.
I think it's not just if you're a singer or whatever. It's whatever you do. I mean, I don't think there's engineers that have retired. I mean, Rick Rubin, who's like a really big producer, like he still does it. He's just really old, you know what I mean? Like he still does it though. So I just there's no retirement. So
well, why don't we hear Highway Lights from Until the End here on Electrocast? We're speaking with L.D.C.N. and his current album released just a couple months ago, right? What month did that come out? Was it June?
July 25th, I think I put that out.
July. It was July of this year, 2015. From Until the End, L.D.C.N. and Highway Lights on Electrocasts.
So I wanted to talk a little bit more about Missing. At the end of Missing, you have it's what sounds like an interview, a little excerpt of an interview with an artist, and it seems that the artist is revealing some discomfort with the scrutiny of the interviewer. Does that reflect your experience? How do you deal with scrutiny of your work?
Funny story. That I mean, I'm probably gonna get hounded by copyright people now, but it's that's from Boyhood, the film Boyhood, which is a very interesting film. I recommend it actually. It's a very interesting. Even if you don't like the sound of it, it's just the fact it was filmed over 20 years, I think, or something, or 12 years. And they film bits of it at a time and then put it together as this big film. So you really see the actors grow up. It's mental. But it really resonated with me because it felt very similar to the way I kind of grew up almost. But yeah, that's from that film. And I don't know, I've not had anyone message me on Twitter saying, your work sucks, man, or stuff like that. I've not had that yet. I'm kind of looking forward to it, just mainly because people can have their own opinions. I'm open to it. I've not ever done that myself, I suppose. I've not messaged anyone saying, your work sucks or whatever.
Right.
If people do that though, I'd like them to say why, if that makes sense.
Right.
I'm interested to hear their view basically, because everyone has come to me, they said they really love me, so I'm either very good, which I don't think I am yet, or there's something else. But I don't know. I'll let you know if when I do get some scrutiny though. It'd be kind of interesting. Actually, no, I lie. I've had one. It was very early on. It was someone found my SoundCloud in one of my music production classes ages ago when I first started out. I think this is before L.D.C.N. And it was just I heard this voice in the background saying oh, this doesn't sound very good. And I was like, oh, that's it though. That's it as far as it goes.
But that was probably a remark about the sonic picture that you were making, maybe the engineering rather than the music.
It's awful then, honestly.
But I think all of us, who put music out there on Bandcamp and SoundCloud and other places now, there's a lot of people going to Baboom and iTunes. You do put yourself open to scrutiny, and there is a vulnerability that comes with it. And it seemed to me that you give some expression to that, particularly in Missing, in that putting yourself out there and making yourself open and vulnerable to scrutiny. Does that make sense to you? Yeah,
that does. As I say, I'm open to it. Honestly, I'm really open to it. I don't push my name, I guess. So I suppose it's not on a personal level. So if someone was to, it's just more or less attacking the name, essentially, if that makes sense. As I say, I'm cool with it. I guess it's face to face, because the internet doesn't really bother me as much. My generation is very plagued with cyberbullying and stuff. I've not had that really. And if I have, I just press block.
Right.
Problem solved for me, at least. That's just me. Everyone has their own way of dealing with things, but I'm cool with it. I'm looking forward to it, as I say.
Yeah, and when Jeff and I were playing in a bands together, we sometimes got written up in the local newspaper. And you can't block that at all. They put in there whatever they feel.
That's reviews, isn't it? Well, that essentially is, That's that's Ldcn blog, I think. I'm not pronouncing that right, probably. But whenever I send off something for him to review, I kind of am a little bit nervous. But I'm very interested to see what he says. But I'm kind of nervous. I'm like, will he like this? I don't think he'll like it. Oh, I don't know. What if he doesn't like it? But at the end of the day, I don't know. He seems like a very cool bloke. So he liked the album.
He is. We spoke with him a couple of weeks ago, and he's a very nice man. He's a very capable and intriguing artist as well.
Yeah, I didn't know he made his own music.
Yeah,
I didn't know he made his own music till last month.
Yeah.
I thought that was crazy.
We'll have him on Electrocasts in October.
Oh, really?
I look forward to that. Second half of October. So you'll get some insight in his thinking and how he looks at music. And we both very much appreciate his work as well, and particularly also what he does on his blog. He reviews albums with great knowledge and insight. Yeah. And so I personally read all of his blogs, and if he likes something, I always find myself liking it as well. Why don't we take a listen to Missing? I think that would be kind of fun right now. And I would like everybody who's going to be listening, particularly paying attention to sort of the cinematic feel of it. And maybe when we come back, Louis, you can...
Make sure you got headphones that can pick up bass as well. I like that bass.
Absolutely. So another track from L.D.C.N's current LP, Until the End, is a track called Missing here on Electrocasts.
take pictures.
Make art.
Any dipshit can take pictures. Art. That's special. What can you bring to it that nobody else can?
That's what I'm trying to find out.
One more point about missing.
The missing point.
At the end, where we were talking about the voices, that you grabbed from the film. the last thing the person says in the interview, so to speak, is that's what I'm trying to find out. And it kind of gave me the sense that maybe you're still trying to find your voice. Is that true?
Yeah, a little bit. I write songs as well. I have been for like 4 years now, which is pretty crazy to think it's been that long. I have notepads full of them, but I've never released one. And as I say, I guess it's still me trying to figure out that, because I don't want to put anything out there with that aspect on it, without it sounding the way I want it to. So it's all about kind of training myself up. I'm kind of a nervous person, I suppose. So that's another point of it as well, because you're performing as well, and sometimes it's more in front of more than one other person. So yeah, it's that's an internal struggle for me. I'll get to that when I get to that. I'm working towards it. I look forward to it. Yeah. So I love the way that segues though. That voice clip, I found it, and I was like, this will work really well for that track. And then the way it cuts to reflection, I was just like, ooh, like I need to put that in the track list. That was amazing for me personally. I don't know, that was just the way I was making it, but
it's very effective, and a lot of us do that. Case, on his most recent album Atomic Appliance, did a voiceover from an interview with a piano player, and
I still need to check that out. I've only got Wi-Fi back. There's so much on my list right now.
So we all use that. We kind of expand on somebody else's thoughts that mesh with our own, either as a tribute to them or to what was said, or in taking it a different direction.
I think it adds dimension to what you intend to say. So if you sort of have it said through somebody else's eyes, or particularly literally through somebody else's voice, I think it adds strength to what you're trying to say yourself.
I think in electronic music as well, it's you don't really have vocalists. I mean, some people are able to. I'm not in the position. I mean, I try to get a few collaborations going, but it just never worked. So yeah, that's my tool for now, to kind of like put some points in there, I think, that otherwise might have been missed. It's funny it's on the track called Missing though, but yeah.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
One of the things that strike me about the music that you requested we listen to is that there are no explicit melodic lines or leads in any of the tracks that we're listening today.
No. Oh yeah, that's interesting. I guess the bass line from Missing could be, but it only goes on for like half the track. Then it kind of, So I know what you're getting at.
But you're suggesting melody, with the underlying chord structures and the pads. So it's not like it is not melodic, but there's not a lead.
Yeah, I don't do straight drone. I can't do it. I tried. I really like those 8 to 10 minute pieces or whatever on YouTube. I keep finding with lovely bits of piano in them. I can't do them. They're really nice, and I feel like crying because it's like I can't do this. But that's not me. I think I stated in my first ever interview with, it was just Type Dancers, and I kind of said, it was in the review for Away From Here, the only kind of review I had for that album, and I just said I kind of make ambient electronic or whatever, but for my generation, so like everyone likes their tracks kind of short, because I've done some tracks at like 8 minutes, and people look at them and they're just like, that's too long, and they'll just skip through it to see whether things change. So, and that annoys me, but I guess that's my own style, because growing up and kind of finding a lot of that stuff, it was all very 20 minutes, and all this kind of stuff. So I just figured I'd try and condense it as much as possible.
Short attention span ambient music, right? Yeah.
Kind of, yeah. Maybe that should be my genre. Maybe I should make a subgenre.
What is it like?
Everyone's got a subgenre. I get a subreddit and everything. That'd be amazing.
Right. Right.
That'd be great.
Can we turn our attention to the track Morning? Now, Morning was on your Summer Rain EP from last year.
Yeah.
But you also have another version of Morning Revisited,
aka 2015. Yeah, Morning
it's
15.
Part of remix EP.
Yeah,
and again, a number of artists that we know and converse with do that quite a bit. They'll take some of their tracks and ask others to remix, or are offered from others for a remix. How did that come together? How did your remix EP come together?
Okay, so the morning track, that came together because I really love that sample that I used in that track. I really love it, and
The vocal sample?
Yeah, and it kind of comes with the pad. It's kind of weird, but I slowed down quite a bit in the original, and then I kind of like sped up a little bit. It just sounded better for the mixing. So I was listening back to it, and it didn't sound as clear as I wanted it to, I think. But the way that came about was I got a couple of remixes done. I'll get to that part in a second, but I had a couple of remixes done, and I was like, I kind of need something with my name on it. And I was thinking about remixing someone else's track, and I think I did. The M. I think he's called the M Music now. Yeah, I did one of his tracks, and I was like, I kind of want to sample it. So I was like, I asked him, and he was like, yeah, that's cool. I didn't really sample it though. I just sat with it for ages, and I was like, I really like this, but I kind of feel like it's missing something. So I just added drums, but that didn't feel good enough for the remix EP. I kind of put it as a bonus in the download. So I was just going over Summer Rain, like, because it was fresh out pretty much, and that was like my biggest thing I'd done. So I was like, okay, I need to do something from that. And yeah, I just went back over it. I felt like I could have done more to it, and that's what I did really. I just changed around some of the percussion.
In your tracks, there seems to be a preference for low and mid tones. Not that you don't use any high frequencies, but the high frequencies are not terribly high, but they do sparkle a little bit. But your music sometimes feels like a warm blanket, almost like a comfort.
I think it's like a warm, fuzzy feeling almost. I don't know. Maybe it spawns from that idea of where L.D.C.N even come from in the first place, where it was just like, I have a headache, let me make some music. And then it was like everything too harsh. It was like, oh, no, this is not, this is hurting my head. I don't know. That's an interesting idea, though. As soon as you said that now, I'm actually kind of thinking over my music. It's... yeah, that is kind of true, isn't it? I'm not really sure what my attraction is to that. I think it's because, when like you hear something and you kind of imagine how that song would look in the video, if it makes sense. So like the coloring of the shots, like a lot of my music kind of for me would be blue, like a very like dark-ish blue. It's very bizarre, but it's yeah, I have a very attraction to kind of like cold weather, and I don't know, I'm just attracted to that for some reason. I have no idea. I'm terrible with higher frequencies, I think. I'm glad you asked that, because when I completed Away From Here and I released it, I on the bus home from college that day, I actually listened to it from front to back and was like, okay, kind of wish I did a few things a bit differently, but it's a good start. And yeah, I just felt like it was an enjoyable listen, and the same with Until the End. It was... I usually listen to them in the dark, like before I'm about to go to sleep. So I shut everything, just the music, so I can hear the mix before I release it. I can hear the track list, does everything work together, all that kind of stuff. Like I try to put out a complete project this time around, I think.
Well, let's take a listen to Morning Revisited and see if everybody who's listening can feel this warm, comfy blanket sort of comforting them. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, so this is Morning Revisited from Ldcn's remix album on Electrocasts.
I'm very curious where the watery, drippy sounds come from. Do you do any field recording? Because you do have some park-like sounds here and there, like birds. Where did you get those watery, drippy sounds from?
Ooh, okay, so they're actually built into the track I sampled, but because I've slowed it down quite a bit and like changed it just enough, it kind of. Are you talking about the original version or the remixed?
Morning Revisited, that's what I'm talking about, yeah.
Okay, so for that last bit, I actually pull stretched that bit in Audacity. So, like, it's very stretched, like, ridiculously, and it just came out like that, and I loved it, so I kept it. But yeah, in answer to your question, like that, those drippy sounds, they're just built into the sample, I'm afraid.
So it's an artifact of the stretching. Yeah, which is why stretching is interesting. It brings out things that are totally unexpected.
Oh, definitely. I do some field recordings, though. Well, not field recordings as such. I mean, you know, the track Phone Call, like, I actually did some additional recording for that, so it was like, that's actually me in the track, funny enough. So I played the character in that. It was kind of weird. It sounds much cooler than the actual recording process was. It was kind of weird. It was weird to sit in my room and pretend that you're in a car and like you're on a motorway and it's just pouring down with rain. It was very bizarre to play that kind of thing. But I like acting, I suppose. Like, I went into drama at school. I never really went further with it, unfortunately. Kind of wish I did, but I just like all that kind of stuff. So I was like, I need to kind of do that, and it worked out pretty well. Some field recordings I did get given to me though,
because there's some like park sounds, or like at some of your tracks I could hear birds tweeting.
The rain one, I always do a rain track in every project I've done. That's a fun fact. I think, apart from like one project, I think and the remix EP, but I'm not really going to count that because it's like, you know, that's everyone's project basically, it's not mine. I've always done one track where I've added that rain because I had that given to me in 2012, like very early on, and I just found myself listening to a lot of albums with that in the background. I just love it for some reason. So it's like a running theme for me.
One thing we also noticed is that in a number of your tracks, Morning in particular, there's that feeling of waking or awakening. Do you kind of explore that consciously?
Yeah, I'm still young. I'm still growing up, I think. So you kind of awaken to some things, not to sound like too fancy, I guess, or anything. But yeah, like I'm still learning. So as I'm making the music, you know, I'm in a very different place mentally from last year to now. Especially with this move as well. So the project that I'm going to put out is, you know, going to be made here. So like however I'm feeling here is basically going to be on the track, and, you know, so on and so forth. So I think that's kind of interesting actually, because Until the End is like a very somber sounding kind of like, it's not very cheery, is it?
But it does have a peacefulness to it. It's maybe. You know, this is why I was curious to talk about your preference for mid-low kind of frequencies, but at the same time, it is not depressing. It is...
Yeah, it's not like properly sad.
Right, it's not sad, but yes.
Yeah, I get what you mean. It's interesting how that came out, to be fair. I think it's because, you know, at the time I was dealing with the fact that I was even just moving in the first place. I moved around a lot when I was younger. So when I actually settled down at my dad's house, it was like I've been there for like 12, 13 years. So that was like, that was structure and everything for me, and I never really had that. So I was very fearful of missing that, I suppose. And a lot of that album was made during the winter as well, so that's probably why it sounds very cold, I guess. Summer Rain was like opposite. I made that like not long after Away From Here. I was just like straight on it. So...
Well, you also put Until the End out a little sooner than you had anticipated.
Oh yeah,
because you were figuring to put it out just about right now, right?
Yeah, I was so glad. I sat down for an entire month. I stopped playing Xbox, stopped doing it. It was just like album, like for an entire month. I was putting that all together, finishing it off. Yeah. So the foundations for the album were made during a very depressing time for me, and then I finished it in the summer. So, and it's been my most interesting project to date.
Great,
you know, making it.
Sure.
Yeah.
What type of equipment do you use? You have a laptop, right? And I think you even got a new laptop at some point, if I remember your tweets correctly.
Oh, yeah. My old computer died that I made Summer Rain on, like during making Summer Rain, so I lost so much. Funny fact, Alone, the track from Summer Rain, that was just made in the demo of FL Studio. Like I had my laptop running for like 2 days, and it was just like I was just making it like I put it on sleep mode and then just started up again from that. But that was such a bad time. That's why during that kind of winter bit before I got the new laptop, I put out the Summer of Rain unreleased project, the remixed one, just because I wanted to keep active, you know. I didn't want to kind of fall off. I did that before Away From Here. It was like I didn't really do anything. It took me ages to finish the album. I didn't want that happening again, so yeah. But my equipment, FL Studio 10, like Produce Edition, I got that for that.
Oh, what used to be Fruity Loops, pretty much.
Yeah, well, yeah, Fruity Loops, yes. It's still called that, I think, but it's just, their logo is just FL now.
I think they tried to rebrand themselves. I don't think they were taken seriously with Fruity Loops.
Yeah, Fruity Loops sounds like really weird, doesn't it? Yeah, but yeah, I use Fruity Loops, you know. It's not very colourful. You'd think for Fruity Loops it'd be really colourful. It's not as grey.
Right,
It's so grey, but I love it though.
And what do you use for equipment, like MIDI equipment or other instruments?
I have like a Line 6 keyboard, which has like inputs for microphones and stuff in. I don't have any microphones here though currently, but you can put like guitar in, like basically you can just DI guitar in there. I'm trying to remember all my terminology. It's been a little while. It's kind of cool. I think I've used that like once. It's alright, I suppose. FL's a bit funny though, with its synths. I had to get a bunch because the ones on there are awful, which is why I'm very sample based at the moment.
Yeah.
Because I hate the synths on. They're all so spacey, and it's good for an entire project like Into the Night Sky. That was basically just me saying, you know what, I'm just going to use all these synths. Like, I like them, but they just don't sound like something I'd make right now.
Right.
So I just went ahead and did that.
Yeah. So what third-party synths are you using?
I use Massive quite a bit.
Do you?
Actually no, I've been using that just for demos and stuff, I guess. Nexus as well. Just a couple, really. I mean, they're not at the forefront of the tracks, so I'm trying to think of. I think Missing. I think I added like something in there. It was a synth, but it was from FM8.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
It was very low. It never takes a center point because they all sound so electro.
Mm-hmm.
I try and like bury it in the mix or mix it slightly differently, so you can't really tell.
Native Instruments makes very nice stuff to use.
Yeah, I'm going to experiment a bit more with that, I think. But for the next project, I'm still going with this like natural sound. So I'm kind of like using that, but I'm going to mix it very interestingly. Hopefully, I'm still working on it. But you've mentioned instruments. Actually, there's one more I have, and that's just like a very small Akai keyboard. Like I can't remember how many keys it's got, but it's like one. It's just a really cheap one, but it's really good. Like, it's very portable. I use that a lot as well, just because like sometimes I'll be sat on my bed with a laptop and I'll be like, oh, I fancy making some music. Just put that down. It's very easy. Yeah, I'm very minimal at the moment. Yeah, I'm very minimal with equipment at the moment. I need to get some more in. We're actually planning on that. We're going to get a MIDI drum kit up in here, and like it's going to get crazy this year, hopefully. So.
Hey, Lou, is there anything that we haven't touched yet that you would like to let everybody know before we go and ride out?
Yeah, I kind of want to touch on the new project. I don't know if you guys have any questions, because City Lights is like, once that premieres on your show, like I'm giving it a couple of days and it's on SoundCloud. Like that's when it starts. Like, hopefully I'm going to kind of, I've kind of found this interesting that every September for the last now 3 years, I've put out a track from a new project, and then I've taken ages to release a new project, but that's like the starting point. So like last year, I think it was Midnight With You. The year before it was Almost Free, I think. And this year it's City Lights. It's kind of, I thought about that yesterday. It's kind of funny, but
well, it seems like you're sort of it's sort of continuing the mood from Until the End. You seem to, you know, it's it keeps going in this sort of soft, chill, low tempo kind of a feel. That's, you know, and when you tag yourself on Bandcamp, that those are some of the words you use, like low down tempo.
I'm so awful at tagging.
Ambient,
I'm absolutely awful.
So it's so
I had to Google once the. I had to Google the what down tempo actually meant, because I was like, I kept tagging my work as down tempo. I'm like, what? Like, does this? Yeah, what is that exactly? Like, I need to find out.
Well, yeah,
100%.
a lot of hip hop is down tempo, but then you get some double tempo on that. You know, I have a great attraction to tracks that are under 100 beats per minute. And
most of mine are 95, which is the year I was born in. Fun fact. Yeah, that's kind of interesting.
What I personally like about music that is low tempo or down tempo is that as a listener, you have an opportunity to fill in some things. You have an opportunity to participate in the track, where these fast things, you basically, your only opportunity is to consume it, not to participate in it. And I guess maybe as a musician, there's an attraction to be able to participate, to fill in some things mentally in your own listening space.
I think I've only ever done a couple of tracks outside of 100. I know that You is 100 and it's 100 and something. I can't remember off the top of my head. Caught in the Rain is 175. That's the fastest track I've ever done, and like it really shows, because man, I wish I redid that track, because I listened to it recently and I was like, it's all right, but it was such a step in the, because I wanted variety on the album as well, so that was one of them, and I really liked that opening bit I got. and I started putting the drums together, and I couldn't do the percussion for it for absolutely ages. I hope it came out right. I mean, I don't know. People seem to find it okay.
Yeah.
But
yeah. Well, the cool thing is with digital technology is we can slow down the tempo to a playable tempo, and then you can speed it back up.
Yeah, I should have
later
really done that. That's a good idea. I don't know why I didn't do that.
Yeah. It's not very authentic, but it's possible.
That's something I might use in the future if I ever venture outside of that. But
yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah, but City Lights kind of carries on from Highway Lights. You brought us through the Highway Lights, and now you're heading toward the City Lights, and we hear traffic and things like that.
I have artwork already for this new project, and it's going to be amazing. Honestly, it's so different from anything I've ever done. And again,
so thank you for letting us hear.
Yeah, that's fine. I wanted to premiere something new. I've been out for a little while. I had no internet. I've been very quiet since I released the album. On the music front, but I've put together a lot of demos. I always seem to do this with projects. I have a lot of demos, then it's like sorting through them to find a track list. So I'm kind of aiming for about 10 tracks this time. So it might be an EP, might be an album. We'll see.
Any idea when it will be done?
I'm trying to hopefully get it out before the end of the year, because I'm really looking forward to putting it out. As I say, I've already got the artwork done, and it's amazing. Like it really shows like this journey. I'm not going to give too much away, but it's really cool.
Hey, Lou, it's like just an incredible pleasure to talk with you, to have you on our show.
Yeah, guys, I've been looooking forward to this for so long.
We've been following you around for the past 2 years or so, and
that's crazy to me. I'm some farmer boy from nowhere. I thought about that last month. I'm thinking, oh man, I have fans now. What the hell? That's such a weird. Even if it's just like a couple people, I've always thought that was so cool.
Yeah.
So. I don't know how that happened. There was like one guy, he introduced me to like you lot, because you're like some community almost. I love it. Like it's just this community of people. And I got introduced to it, and I can't remember how, but it's been a very good journey since then. Like I've just been growing it.
I know how you feel. I pottered around with Isotherm on Twitter for about 1.5 years before I found a lot of the gang that we converse with regularly.
Yeah, because my mentions were very like limited, and then all of a sudden it was like every day. I'm like, man, what's going on? This is cool.
It's a nice feeling to be a part of. Yeah.
Yeah, so I really appreciate that. And I'm sorry, like I'm not on the Twitter front as much as I should be. Really, like I should. I got so much music. Important. I got so much music to get through from not only you guys, but kind of like a few other people that as well, because I kind of feel like I have to give back, like a lot of people have been so nice to me, and that's just who I am. Like, if you're doing nice things to me, like I should be giving that back. So,
well, that's
well, we all feel that,
and that's
too,
that's exactly why we started to do these electrocasts, is to shine a light on people like yourself and people that we follow and that we're interested in. And so this gives us great pleasure. Hey, why don't we ride out with City Lights, which is a wonderful track for everybody to get a really good feel of where your next project is going.
World premiere. Exclusive right here.
Okay. So the world premiere.
Drop the air horns.
The world premiere, yeah. We've spent the last hour talking to Louis Baker. You guys know him as L.D.C.N. Fantastic chat, fantastic music, nice guy.
Thanks for having me.
And we're going to hear, to ride out our show, we're going to hear a track called City Lights from his upcoming project, hopefully released by the end of this year, maybe slightly after, but we'll see what happens. But it's been a great pleasure, Louis. Thank you.
Thank you, man. I really appreciate it.
Thank you too, Louis.
Cheers.